Now we have one more presentation from STEM4youth consortium. We have Jose Diego-Mantecón, which is the STEM4youth project manager, presenting the trials of the 7 modules designed during STEM4youth project and the results of these modules, because these modules have been tested and piloted, and so are very interested to be used, but they're very effective because there are some evaluation behind.
Well, thank you to everyone for coming. Yes, my name is Jose Diego. I'm responsible for the evaluation process of the STEM4youth. I'm going to talk today about the results we have obtained during the project, and also about some recommendations for classroom implementation of this type of activities. Well, first of all, you can get into the platform, as Mirek said before, and you will find there, all the activities that we have categorized by disciplines. Yeah, it's an easy way to find the activities. And well, this is the platform. You have the activities there. You can choose one of the disciplines and see the activities and implement one of these activities with your students. We have tested the implementation of these activities in all these countries: Poland, Czech Republic, Slovenia, Greece, Italy, and Spain, with about 2,000 students and 100 teachers in more than 60 schools. The methods we have used is we have used questionnaires, attitudinal questionnaires. We have used interviews for students and for teachers, and after doing this evaluation process, we have addressed some questions. And one of the main questions that we have is, do STEM4youth activities determine a student's future career choice? We don't have conclusive results from our study, because this implementation was taken during just one academic year, and some of the students that were participating, they were already interested in STEM, so they continue to be interested in STEM. Others, they already have decided to choose a different subject, so after just developing 1 or 2 activities during a year, obviously it's not going to change their mind in that sense. So further research is necessary in order to really confirm that they will modify their career choice, or they will change their career choice. Another question is, do STEM4youth activities influence student motivation for learning? Well, our conclusion is yes, but with some particularities. The STEM methodology we consider is very important and is very stimulating for the students, for learning, but teachers are a key factor here. Just the methodologies by themselves are not enough. Teacher has to stimulate the learning process. It's very important. We have been working with teachers during many years, and their motivations, their encourage is very important for, open the door and let the students come into the learning process. We have in the project very motivated teachers, and they have commented a lot about the importance of this methodology for increasing learning students' motivation for learning. Here we have one said, learning by experiments was very inspiring for my students. This is one approach related to the STEM methodology, learning by experiments. Working in groups with other students and with other teachers is also a very enriching experience for the students. We have working on real projects is also where you have to get the solution at the end of the project. It's also very stimulating practice for the students. Hands-on activity where a student has to build something, to construct a prototype, is also very stimulating for them and helps in the learning process. Now I'm going to continue? No. I'm going to give an example of one of the activities that is going to be presented for the students later on in the workshop. The activity called Floating Nest was designed by the Greek team, and it's about creating platforms where birds can construct their nest. Okay, and so we are putting an STEM activity into context. For example, in the north of Spain, we have this aquatic bird called great crested grebe, that the number of these birds have decreased a lot in the north of Spain because they don't have natural platforms where to construct the nest, and the activity was introduced like that to the students, and they have to develop an artificial platform, and they really put it on a lake for the birds. For doing that, before developing the prototype, they did some experiments. Here they are applying Archimedes' principle in order to get knowledge about how is going to be constructed the platform, how stable it has to be, how heavy it has to be in order to be stable and not to be broken by the water. And after this experiment, they construct in a working group collaboratively a prototype, and once they construct the prototype, they put the real platform, here you have, on the lake, okay? We are going to show you now a short video about how these students were collaborating for example, sorry, here they are working like in a big laboratory. They are really constructing you see, they are cutting and building the platform. So this is the collaborative work that the teachers, they said it is very stimulating for them. And then we have this real activity where the students are taking the nest, the platform, to the right place on the lake for the birds. Okay? This is one example that will be further explained by the students that are here today. And sorry that we have to come back to. We have some other questions like, do STEM4youth activities significantly influence knowledge acquisitions? Our results suggest that they don't influence, this methodology doesn't influence knowledge acquisitions more than the other methodologies, more than, for example, the regular lessons at the school. They also learn knowledge, they acquire knowledge, they learn different concepts, content from these different subjects. But the important point of this methodology is that helps students to integrate knowledge from different subjects and to really understand the meaning of the concepts of the procedures they are using. For example, they get into know why they are using, what is really the meaning of the concept, of the procedure, and how they can apply it to real-life situations, and how can relate this concept to other concepts from other disciplines. This is clearly a higher cognitive demand than just memorizing some concept or learning some concept, because you can know the definition of a concept, of a procedure, but you don't really know the meaning or the different application that it has to different situations in real life. So here we highlight the importance of this methodology. And now I'm going to show you a video where clearly students get into that point, where they just not only know the concepts, but they are able to explain them and to apply them to specific situations, okay? Which is a more difficult task than just learning them by rote or just memorizing them, okay?
Hidráulico. What's an hydraulic arm? Es una estructura dividida en partes que pueden moverse independientemente entre sí, realizando movimientos, aumentando y disminuyendo la presión ejercida por, en este caso, el agua.
An hydraulic arm is a structure divided into parts that can move independently from each other by making movements. It increases or decreases the pressure exerted by, in this case, the water.
¿Cuáles son los usos de un brazo hidráulico?
How do we use an hydraulic arm? La respuesta es muy sencilla. Un brazo hidráulico sirve para transportar objetos, mejor si son pequeños, más fácilmente.
The answer is very simple. We can use an hydraulic arm to transport objects in an easy way, better if they are small.
¿Cómo funciona un brazo hidráulico?
How does an hydraulic arm work?
Los controles presionan las jeringuillas con agua, la cual se transmite a través de unos tubos de goma y llega a las jeringuillas situadas en el brazo. Gracias a este agua es capaz de moverse y atrapar los diferentes objetos.
The control presses the syringes with water, which is transmitted through rubber tubes, and it arrives to the syringes located in the arm. Thanks to this water, it is able to move and catch the different objects.
Okay, this activity implements different disciplines, technology and physics, for example. They know the concept of pressure, of force, the Pascal principle, and they apply it, and they explain how to use this in real life and how to apply it to the hydraulic arm. So this is basically the explanation of what we were saying about the interdisciplinarity here and real life application. We have another question, which is, do STEM4youth activities significantly influence the development of key competence for lifelong learning proposed for the European Union? Our answer is yes, they significantly impacted the development of several of these key competences, and I'm going to give you now some examples of how they influence this or benefits this competence. For example, it's clear that the linguistic and oral communication is developed. Students, well, you saw the videos, students are able to communicate within just the members of the team, but also presenting these activities to others. to teachers from other schools. They also present the activities in science festivals or a conference like today they are going to do. Another competence is the mathematical, scientific and technological competence. That is the one I was speaking before. They are able to apply mathematics, and they are able to apply their knowledge, the concepts learned at the school, into real-life situation and interrelate this knowledge and these concepts. Another competence is the digital competence. In many of the activities developed or designed by the STEM4youth project, required working with computers, searching information on the internet, applying different softwares, and also doing some programming. We are going to show you now, for example, the robot avoiding obstacles. Is a robot that, well, you can construct different robots, and you have to use mathematics, you have to program them in order to avoid of these obstacles that we are putting them. Here we have the activity. So for doing this activity, the students have to know mathematics, but also have to know how to implement mathematics in the programs, and also have to know about the specific software and do all this coding. So they are implementing different disciplines here in this activity. And of course, developing the digital competence. What else? Learning to learn and sense of initiative and leadership. We have activities in STEM4youth that they are very open activities where you can really do research. Yes? We are going to show you one activity called epigenetics activity, where a group of students, that was an open activity about epigenetic. What is epigenetic? But they have to, they start to discover about this concept.
To perform this action, and they can produce the transmission of nerve impulses. This is an example of a DNA chimpanzee. This is the DNA sequence of a chimpanzee. This will be the genes.
What they are doing in these activities, they start searching about the meaning of ADN, about the concepts. They start learning about the concept of epigenetic and how the context in which we live, the environment, the food that we eat, the exercise we do, with the people we talk, everything around us is affecting us. How this may affect our body. How all this, the context can affect or can activate or deactivate some genes in our ADN, and how can modify our life in the future. And what the students did after all this research, they were just investigating, reading papers and books about this topic, and then they carry out first a case study and then a little survey, finding twins and comparing their lives and their aptitudes to their lives, and whether, for example, twins that they were living in different locations or different contexts, how they were affected by their context, and whether they, this context was impacting in their lives. And here we are going to show you briefly, because this afternoon we will have this presentation from students from Spain. These two.
¿Crees que la epigenética afecta a nuestras voces? ¿Crees que la epigenética afecta a nuestras voces?
These twins, the members of the team, they choose these twins, and they asked to read a sentence to see if the voice was similar or no, and how the voice changed depending of the context in which they live, and if they have a different, they are young or they become older, and we have more examples about. Let's see if we find some of these examples. Okay, we have here another group.
Here we can see Pablo and Sergio when they were young. And
now they are explaining the characteristics of the students. When they were young, they are a bit older.
We have another pair of twins. They are 13 years old. They are Mario and Angel.
They are the same. Okay. Never mind. They will explain this activity further, the students, this afternoon. Okay, I continue with the key competence. Digital competence, learning to learn. We have also the social and civic competence and cultural awareness. As we were saying, we have a subject called Citizen Science Experiment, where students participate in one's social and working life and engage in active activities with the society. Here we have an example that was described by Isabel this morning, where students interact with the society and design activities which are influencing, the cultural view, etc. We have also students presenting in science festival where they have to talk to different public. They have to talk to teachers, they have to talk to researchers, they have to talk to parents, families, etc. And they are just presenting their projects to the general public. So they are disseminating their work. Now, in order to finish with the presentation, I'm going to, if you want to implement these activities, I'm going to talk about the constraints and handicaps that you will find in your school if you want to implement these activities, okay? There are many constraints, but one of them is the time. Some of these activities are not just one-step problem-solving solution, okay? They are often open questions that require a lot of time to be solved. And they are difficult to solve, in a couple of lectures or the lessons. And doesn't fit well within the regular educational system. The official documents and the curriculums are promoting STEM education, but when you come to the real life and you want to implement these activities at the school, it's not so easy. You find many difficulties. Another difficulty that you can find is the resources. As we were seeing before, students from the floating nest, they were working in a big laboratory where they were using different tools to make big construction. Okay, this is difficult if you don't have a laboratory at the school or if you don't have specific materials. We have to be realistic. I mean, this is not easy, and not all the schools have these possibilities. So this is another constraint. Also, there are more things like learning assessment methods. Normally, our evaluation in the whole Europe, exams are normally driving the way of teaching. You know, we have these short exams for everyone where we have to test, you know, short bits of knowledge or procedures, and it's very difficult to evaluate activities that sometimes takes several months to be developed. And you know, we can evaluate certain, if you know the definition of a concept or not, but knowing about the applicability, about, you know, defending your work, this is much more difficult to evaluate. So sometimes teachers, we are thinking of just preparing our students for the exams, and we cannot really develop some of these activities that require a lot of time. Not only for the students, but also for the teachers. Yes. So it's a difficulty for the implementation. Also, from my experience, I found that when I offer these activities to the teachers at the schools, they say, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not prepared to do the floatingness activities or the hydraulic arm because, you know, I'm a mathematics teacher, and, well, I know a bit of mathematics, maybe a bit about physics, but not about technology. So how can I do it? How can I won't be able to do that activity? No, I don't want to do it, and I don't have time to do it because I have to prepare my lesson. So, I mean, yes, the official documents again say that even the national curriculum say we have to introduce STEM into the classrooms, but we don't have, normally, we don't have hours for this subject. Because teachers are subject specific, they are specialized in one subject. Maybe this works better in primary education, for example, but in high school it's much more difficult. And then you have to find ways to work inside of the classroom and outside of the classrooms, and also asking other teachers to collaborate in your project. You know, sometimes other teachers, they don't want to collaborate with you because they have their work, their families, you know, and it's difficult to establish a collaboration. So then if you want to implement this in your classroom, you will probably you will find these difficulties or obstacles, okay? I'm going to suggest you some recommendations in order to overcome these obstacles. Well, first one is that you have to get your students interested in doing the activity. Sometimes it's difficult also. Because also students want to go to the regular lesson, to learn the concepts, to have the exams, and just go away. You know, they want to focus and just get a good grade, and sometimes it's difficult to tell them, come and work in this activity. It's a long process. I'm not saying that all the activities of the STEM4youth are open activities and they are a long process, but I'm speaking particularly about these activities. And what I'm suggesting you is to propose them a challenge. You know, for example, like the floatingness, you know, introducing a real-life situation. We have this problem here in this particular context. Let's try to solve the problem. And once we develop the activity, we should construct this activity in the way we can inspire or motivate or encourage other students. They are abroad or they are far away from us. Or even, let's do the activity, develop this activity, and just thinking about presenting this activity to, you know, our classmate, another course, to see if we can motivate them for learning. That can be just one idea. So how can you motivate others with your work? Students, that from my experience, they like this idea of, okay, I'm going to do this, not only for myself, but also to inspire others. It's very stimulating also for them presenting the final products to different people, to their families, to researchers, to other teachers from other schools, to the teachers from the same school. It's like you are constructing something, you are learning something, you are applying something, and also it had some kind of reward because someone else is going to see it. You know? It's very motivating for this part. What else I will propose? A student should lead, once they get into the project, a student should lead the resolution process. And teachers should be acting as facilitators for learning. They should motivate them, stimulate them, you know, because there are sometimes where the students are stuck and they have to, they need ideas from the teachers and they have to move on. I mean, the teacher has to control the situation all the time, but it's good that students lead the situation, that they can propose ideas, ways of research, ways of experimenting. Yes? I think this is very important for them. Ask your students to create a PowerPoint to present it to others, maybe in a conference, no, like today they are going to do, or just for keeping track of their work. It's very important. It's not just doing things, you have to write them in order to really understand what you are doing. Sometimes the students come to me and they say, I thought I knew everything about the project, but when I developed the PowerPoint presentation, I realized new things that I didn't become aware before. Because thinking about how to solve the problem is different than presenting the problem to others. You know, it's even a higher cognitive demand. You have to know more than the things you know to solve the problem, but also you need to know how to present the problem to others, and they have to understand what you are saying. It's not enough that you know the solution. You have to be able to explain clearly to others how to get into the solution. Ask them to make a video. It's very good for them to categorize their ideas, to see the whole process, to go back and you know, reproduce the process, and also they can show this product, and they will be proud of this product, and they can disseminate these products. This is also, I think, very important for the learning process. What more? Establishing collaboration with teachers. If you are a teacher and you want to develop one of these activities, I suggest you to start establishing contact with other teachers from other disciplines. Maybe you will need help. You don't know everything, and other teachers can help you in these interdisciplinary activities. And also, if you manage to hear from STEM4youth, different partners, we are providing also help from researchers from the university. Get in touch with researchers also. Ask them, students can ask them questions about how to manage or how to solve a particular sub-problem of the big problem. You know, interaction, create a community. Okay, don't work in your own, just involve others. I'm saying, for example, involving teachers and students from the same school to work inside and outside of the classroom. If you are a teacher and you're going to start these activities in your school, maybe you will find difficulties because the director of the school say, no, you don't have time to do that, or you know, you have to focus on the curriculum and it's difficult. Just if you get people in your school involved on it, you will succeed much more on this target. Well, basically what I want to say with all of this is never give up. It's just, if you believe in this learning process, just continue, because you will find many difficulties, but these difficulties will increase your motivation and your students' motivation for learning. And I think then the satisfaction, the reward of this process will be bigger, and then will give you power to continue working in these activities. This is very much everything. Thank you.